Elon is suing Twitch. We'll be talking about that, of course. Trump wants to use the military to do mass deportations. Literally heard Gen Z Jim Bros talking about how mass deportation is racist last week. Yeah. Trump's cabinet picks. Charlie Kirk is now giving your uncle flowers.
They should listen.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. And more madness. Just stop pretending like you are still in high school. Nobody's an archetype or a niche. The only people to make snap judgments about are crypto bros. Yeah, thank you. If we're going to be immediately casting aside an entire group of people, just, you know, save that anger to crypto bros, but nobody else. And especially not Jim Bros, because I'm a fucking Jim Bro. Okay? Elon suing Twitch. Trump wants to use the military to do mass deportations. Trump's cabinet picks and more madness. Later, I get Brolic. Dr. Mike Israel and talk Jim Bro shop. Get in now. I'm starting to hate the chat attitude towards Dr. Mike. Holy shit. Yes. Wait, is this fucking real? There's no way this is real, right? Shut the fuck up. There's no way that's real. They are not doing a Hassan Piker lookalike contest. That will not be broadly attended, I suspect. Anyway. Let's blast off, ladies and gentlemen. Let the people know we are live. We are alive. Okay. Your mom, tell your dad, tell your family. I live in Chicago and it's real from what I've seen. Could just be a joke though. I mean, yeah, it's from Hasanabi Productions, so it's most likely not real. You watching Don Don? Yeah, but I haven't caught up to it. I've had a lot of stuff going on off stream, as in sleeping. So I've been doing like a fucking media tear too. I've been doing a lot of media stuff. So, you know, there is just like shit ton of that going on. There's a shit ton of that happening. So, Lamau, I thought you meant the other Dr. Mike. No, this is the Dr. Mike. Look at this unhinged ad I got served on Twitter. Due to the high demand of volunteer work in Israel, we've created Moms of Volunteers, a new initiative inviting you to join a 4 to 6 week volunteer program in Israel, turning your compassion into action. Is this a joke? Why the fuck would anybody want to volunteer in Israel when you show them that, like, hey guys, come volunteer in Israel, and then it's just like images of people getting shot by like resistance figures inside of Israel? Why the fuck would they? Why would anybody go, oh man, yeah, that's definitely welcoming? Like, that makes no sense. There's obviously an avenue for volunteer work in Israel as well as anywhere else on the planet. But what is shocking to me, what is truly shocking to me, is that you think this would be a successful way to sell the concept by being like, you could get killed at any given moment. Isn't that cool? Oh, fuck. Yeah, send John Fetterman's bitch ass over there, dude. Let that ogre do the damn thing. Hassan lookalike contest?
Hassan Piker, calling Hassan Piker. Just kidding. But someone did say there should be a Hassan Piker lookalike challenge in my hole. Not me. That said, it wouldn't be a real lookalike contest if there wasn't a Twitch link attached to it.
What does that mean? I mean, that type of ad would work on me if it wasn't Israel. Wait, what? You look tired? I am tired. Themasius, I got your playlist. Thank you. Oh, wait. I do. It's right here. What is this?
Celebration of all time.
Best celebration?
Yeah.
I quite like celebrating the Russian Revolution myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. October Revolution.
My God.
When working class people in Russia smashed the Tsars and the
Oh my
emergent
God.
capitalist system. That's the one I like.
What's the best football celebration of all time?
Ronaldo.
Wayne Rooney.
That's incredible, dude. What an unexpected banger. Yes, I like smashing the Tsars, right? Real uprising of a revolutionary sort.
Punch in the corner flag.
Oh, yeah. What's the best celebration of all time?
Best celebration of all time? Every day is a celebration.
What's the best celebration of all time?
In football?
Yeah.
The guy who dances at the World Cup, the African guy. Can't remember his name.
Which one? Asamoah?
No, ages ago. No,
Which one?
The first celebration ever.
Which is?
I can't remember his name.
Oh, you do it?
No.
Football fans are multifaceted. Yeah, ace footy. Russian Revolution season was so underrated. The first one was when this video peaked. First guy so real. Bro had to clarify football celebration. Bro had to add football after the first guy. Multifaceted, right? It's how the footy fans are, yeah? You know it. I know it. We all fucking know it. Footy fans love. Footy fans yearn for the October Revolution. They want it. They fucking want it, mate. It is what it is, yeah? Anyway, Matt Bernstein risen you up. What is this? Oh, I saw this already. We saw this. Stone Cold Steve Austin reads leftist theory.
Stone Cold Steve Austin demanding the working class step up. Donald Trump claims to be an outsider, but he's doing the bidding of the global elites. If the man truly gave a damn about our American democracy, he wouldn't have ran. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? They want the working class to turn on each other because otherwise they'd be turned.
Okay, I like this. I like this guy's content, but like you immediately go into leftist memes. Like you immediately have to go into leftist memes. Chat can't fucking help himself. You not everything has to be a leftist meme, dog. Okay, you gotta chill. There's no W in leftist memes, or there's an L. Oh, it's true. You missed nephew's second wedding.
My dearest ex-chocobars, from the moment we met, my life has transformed in the most beautiful way. And today, I promise to spend every day.
Bro, someone needs to stop this man, dude. He's perma stuck, rising. He just can't.
And honoring and loving you with all that I am. I vow to stand by your side through every challenge and triumph, to laugh with you in moments of joy, and to comfort you in times of sorrow. I will cherish and respect you, support your dreams, and encourage you to be the best version of yourself. You are my heart, my home, and my forever. And I'm so grateful to walk this life with you, hand in hand, for all of my days. Here's my ring.
What is this? Bavarian ministers and nobles convening after their king builds yet another lavish palace. We need to talk about Ludwig. What a fucking stupid meme, dude. No. That's crazy. That's crazy. 5K in 30 minutes, bro fell off. Are these people okay? Bro, what are you doing? Look at the numbers on your screen, dude. Some of y'all are so weird. Reload, little bro. Oh, he's talking about the Ethan video? No, 4K, 5K in 30 minutes is fine. That's not that bad. You know, we all have a dud every now and then. We all have a dud every now and then. We in a sea of bangers. OTK game day announcement. I'm not going to be there, so, you know. It's not going to bang the way it did on B-ball, but I'm sure, I mean, it'll be exciting. Wish I could attend. You cooked the chatter for no reason. Body found in Bussy Woods. No, I'm not touching that. Anyway, missing out on a nice little Tectone collab. I know, messed up. I take every opportunity I can to do Tectone collabs. What time is the workout? Is at 6 p.m. Pacific. Okay. LeBron slander will not be tolerated. She will be re-educated. Yeah, I mean, we watched this yesterday, and I agree. LeGoat. Every single time I've seen, like yesterday, we saw that one girlfriend talk about like how her boyfriend is in love with LeBron and wants to have sex with LeBron. Okay, and you know, pouring honey on the goat, that type of shit. And it's really funny because it like now I've just been seeing clip compies from that girl nonstop, and it's just always it's always fantastic. Because the clip compilations just showcase LeBron's greatness and all of his glory. So I love that. Anyway, yeah, let's get started with Charlie Kirk pouring honey on another goat, Uncle Shaky Gerger.
Listen to the Young Turks. The Young Turks had it right. They should have went full economic populist, and they should have promised UBI, universal basic income. They should have went full anti-billionaire class.
Oh, and Social Security.
They should also said, you know what, Donald Trump is right on immigration, but these are the things wrong with it. They should have went full socialist nationalist. No.
Bro went. They should have went full socialist nationalist, which is wild. Okay. On the one hand, he's recognizing that like left-wing economic sentiment is popular, but also simultaneously he just said Nazi. Like the Democrats need to go full Nazi. I was waiting for you to go live, Peach Babe 2. I'm here. Peach Babe too. That's a crazy fucking thing to just openly say. Yeah, he should have gone full socialist nationalist, you know? Or maybe some people might call that national socialist. Just a little national socialism. What's wrong? That's never been tried before.
Social security.
You know what I'm saying though? Like expand Social Security, universal basic income. They should like that would have been dangerous for us to run against.
Totally.
Instead, again,
instead they got
we talked about this on Thugline one time.
Well,
we talked about having a populist
We did
off.
with Biden though. I'm
Look,
sorry.
all you have to do is like look at Denmark. Denmark is a country. Their left-wing party has been in power forever. All they had to do is bite the bullet and say, "Okay, we're doing an immigration pause." Just pause immigration, and suddenly you can get away with so much more social democratic stuff.
Yeah, but here's
single payer, all of that. You just
yeah, totally. Yeah, the one thing that was stopping Americans from doing socialism was the immigration. That's right. Yeah, yeah. Any day now, chat. Any day now, we're gonna have bountiful social democracy. Any moment now, dude. It's slated to happen. Trust, dude. Trust. These people have fucking brainworms. I mean, they don't believe what they're saying either, honestly. The only part that is important about this commentary that I think holds weight is that they also personally recognize the dangers of left-wing economic populism. That's the only thing you should take seriously. That's it. They know how hard it is to go up against left-wing economic populism, a resounding message that hyper focuses on people's material realities and addresses them and, personally has real actionable solutions that will make people's lives better. There is no counter to that from the Republican Party. But luckily enough for the Republican Party, they don't ever have to counter that because the Democrats are not interested in that whatsoever. Yeah, better example, New Deal era Democrats held the U.S. House for more than 60 years, mid-30s to the mid-90s. Davi on Theo's podcast again and talked about Trump. Oh, yeah, this was fantastic conversation. I want to go on Theo Vaughn's podcast as well. I think it'd be a cool back and forth. I have heard some sussy shit from him a little bit, but I've heard some sussy shit from him, but overall I think it's good to speak to someone like that. I think he's overall very open-minded.
the bullet and say it's okay to restrict immigration and not make it this deranged priority to replace the citizens of your own country and gloat about it and how you're like getting a better group of people in. If you don't do that, you can win elections.
But Blake,
the Young Turks had it figured out. Just one sec. I'm telling you, Cenk and Anna Kasparian, they were nice having them on the show. They saw it, and I was like, geez, if they run that campaign, that's dangerous. I hope this gets clipped up and sent to them because they were completely ignored by the Democrat Party. Like, completely ignored.
Oh, they were put in a corner.
And exactly. And they were the only ones that understood.
You would not be beating the anti-Semite allegations if you went on that pod, brother. No, I think that first of all, Gabor Mate's been on that podcast. Bernie Sanders and Gabor Mate. So that's crazy. Like, I can't, like, that is why it is such a wild situation that man went from talking to Gabor Mate to being like, yeah, I don't really understand. It means like left-wing Jews are controlling the media to do anti-white racism. I don't know. How the fuck do you do that? How do you, like, there is not any time lost in between that process. Like, that shit is kind of alarming. But in any case, it's bizarre as hell because Charlie Kirk's political instincts are cheeks. No, I think these guys understand that left-wing economic populism is resilient and strong and popular and would be a real fight that they would have to go up against. But Republicans are so lucky that they never have to fight against that. And then they can always fight on their own terms by constantly making a big fuss about hyper-specific, marginalized populations that have no fucking, no counter-messaging platform and no strategy to advocate for their humanity. Okay? It's fantastic. Democrats never give them something to fight against because Democrats don't fight for anything. That's it. Like, on the simplest terms, if you don't want to think about the underlying material harm and what what the Democrats must do to go against their own corporate benefactors to solve some of these systemic issues. If you don't want to talk about policy like that, think about it in the simplest terms possible. If the Democrats give something to the Republicans to fight against, if they push the boundary in a certain direction, Republicans are going to hyper-focus on that. If you do Medicare for all, they're going to go, oh, we don't want that. That's communism. That's socialism. That's bad. That's bad. Make them make that argument. Show them as the immoral, corporate-backed, parasitic monsters that they are. Just dangle it in front of them. Dangle anything in front of them, and they'll grab onto it. And in that process, they won't have any time to shit on trans people because now they're just hyper-focused on an actual actionable policy that they must undermine because they are slaves to the corporate benefactors. That's it. But Democrats don't do that because Democrats themselves are also reactionary. So they end up getting dominated by the Republicans. They end up getting dominated by the Republicans over and over again. Didn't work for abortion, though. Is this really different? Brother, what are you talking about? The abortion issue is exactly what I'm talking about. The Republicans undermined civil liberties for Americans across the board. 50% of Americans lost their opportunity to be able to get this medical procedure done, all right? They removed from entire chunks of the population, especially in red states, women's bodily autonomy, right? They took that away. And then liberals came up after that and tried to fundraise off of that. That's another example of the Republicans pushing the boundaries, pushing the political conversation, pushing people's understanding of American politics further and further into the right. Democrats played catch up in that situation. If they actually had a solution for it, they would have actively whipped the votes and instilled a moral panic towards abortion a long time ago. They would have utilized the bully pulpit and would have gotten enough assurances, okay? And they would have turned around. They would have turned around and they would have secured the people's right to get medical coverage. Anyway, what is this? Dan Saltman mentioned in a P. Diddy article. Rumors swirl that Diddy and Ashton Kutcher used Tinychat to flirt with underage girls. The celebs helped Tinychat raise $1.5 million before Diddy's September 2024 arrest for sex trafficking and racketeering. What? In addition to acknowledging the actors, Mike covered this. In September 2024, Sean Diddy Combs was arrested following a string of sexual assault and domestic abuse allegations. In addition to acknowledging the actors' ties to men who allegedly engaged in predatory behavior, the celebs' joint involvement, Tinychat is also being called into question. A TikTok account claimed Ashton Kutcher and Sean Diddy Combs invested in the platform to chat with underage girls freely. I mean, this is Distractify. I don't know how valid this is. Diddy and Ashton Kutcher have been accused of flirting with teenage girls on Tinychat. In 2011, Kutcher and Combs were two of Tinychat's earliest investors. Per its business profile, the company was founded by Cole Turner, Martin Redman, and Daniel Saltman. Damn. Destiny's podcast co-host. And Mr. Adpocalypse is definitely happening, I promise you. Why don't you guys understand? Look at how many times we've posted on LSF. And Michael Stern, according to TechCrunch, Combs and Kutcher helped other investors, including Madonna's former manager, Guy Ozeri, raise $1.5 million to get the video chat service comparable to Chat Roulette off the ground. The site was first tested in 2009 and included live chat rooms. However, according to September 27, 2024, TikTok user from I'm Not Famous Anymore, they used the account for sinister reasons. They account that claimed the celebs would often flirt with teenage girls. I mean, this is not valid evidence. I don't think there's a lot of... You got a pretty smile for a girl with those dimples, Combs tells the fan in the clip. Wait, what? Come on, this is a different guy? Wait, no. Dan Saltman, the same Dan Saltman that has been doing the Twitch Adpocalypse shit, is the guy who is the owner of Tinychat. I think it's the same guy, isn't it? Yeah, no, he did make... no, Dan Can't Stream, Dan Saltman is the guy who made Tinychat. That's correct. What is this? Got any plans December 8th? What does that mean? Why so ominous? When people say stuff like that, I just don't understand. Like, what are you going to kill me? That's the lookalike contest thing? Oh, okay. Okay. No, I do have plans that day. Yeah, no, he owns this. He owns Tinychat. It was like, it is definitely his. That part is not shocking. And the fact that Diddy was fundraising for it alongside Ashton Kutcher, that's also not that shocking. Rich people fucking invest in a whole bunch of stuff. The part of this that makes it weird The part of this that would make it weird is if Diddy was actually using the website to talk to minors. But even then, there's no assurances that Dan Saltman personally knew that Diddy was using it to do such a thing. So unlike people who routinely lie about me and use any and every opportunity to slander me, attack everyone in my orbit regularly, I'm not going to participate in that sort of thing. So despite the fact that yes, Dan Saltman does own Tinychat or did own Tinychat and fundraise off of Ashton Kutcher and Diddy, I don't know if he knew the extent of how much Diddy was using it. It's not a good look, but until there's more evidence, I will hold off on jumping on this bandwagon. He has a whole long list of other shit you can criticize the dude for. No need to go into conspiracy shit. I mean, Tinychat is a weird website. Man, I don't really know enough about Tinychat to be very honest with you. Yeah. So, all right. Where was I? Oh, we were talking about Charlie Kirk giving props to Unk.
Dude, like you could have expanded the Democrat base. That would have been so scary to run against. If they would have run on like legalization of weed, universal basic income, strict immigration. I'm serious. Strict immigration, ending the wars, like the old Bernie Sanders portfolio.
Yeah.
Instead, Kamala went for the cheap corporate cash, and because everyone said you need to finance your campaign against Trump. And
well, here's the reason why, though, Charlie. and I think we figured this out, is that the only way that the uniparty hacks can fund war is by open borders.
What are you saying? Uniparty hacks? Bitch, your president is the #1 uniparty hack. He's putting Marco Rubio in charge of the fucking State Department. Like, what are you talking about? These guys live on an alternative plane of existence. They like fantasize that Donald Trump is actually this secretly based anti-war guy. And then they act like they're all shocked and shit when he's not. I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, they don't really care. They like the wars that Donald Trump also facilitates, participates in. And yeah, I don't know. They just act like it's a real nuisance. Oh man, I am really upset. I am really personally upset that Donald Trump is continuing the wars, but like, I don't think he gives a shit. New leftist British meta drop. Check out Jimmy the Giant's video about the UK rights on YouTube. Right-winger turned leftist who seems to be on the exact same page as you. Incredible video. Maybe we'll look at it later.
It's very clear. They have to be able to fund the entire enterprise of war. They're tied together, lockstep, at the hip. They have to do all of that, and that's what's being exposed right now, is that you have all these people who have committed themselves to war, and they've committed themselves to China and cheap labor. And so open borders, China, and big war propaganda is them. That's them. And this is what Donald Trump has exposed. This is what this entire movement has exposed. And it's the most critical time that it could possibly ever happen, because if we had not won, who knows what would happen? We would have been in World War III, subservient to China for the rest of our lives, and we wouldn't have a culture here at all. There would be no American culture. It would be completely overrun. All that takes a step back, and we'd be able to move forward and continue to create an American culture that's important to the future of the country.
Okay, the last part of this was just like psychotic hallucinations. The only important takeaway from this is that Charlie Kirk and others within the Republican commentary field understand the value of left-wing economic populism. And when Republicans or when Democrats themselves do not value that and fill the space with any sort of serious commentary or any sort of like reasonable policy prescriptions, ultimately, the Republicans can lie about it. Yeah, don't watch that Jimmy the Giant vid. He thinks D's a leftist and praises him. I mean, everyone has their own journey of de-radicalization. I won't fault someone for looking at Destiny as a successful person that pulled them away from like right-wing radicalization. You never know how much these people ride or die for these content creators. Think about think about the average person who knows who the fuck I am, for example. They don't know everything about me. They don't know what my entire scope, you know, or my entire worldview looks like. But regardless, did you ever see yourself slipping down a radicalization path? Certainly. Yes, I was a young man at a certain point.
People truly,
that is like prime for radicalization. Speaking of young men, or I guess older men now, Uncle Shaky Gurga, okay, Chunk Weigert, is in the crosshairs of Emma Vigeland, friend of the show, Emma Vigeland, because he said, I asked Elon Musk to put me in charge of cutting the Pentagon. And he said, what are your suggestions? I run the largest left-wing network online, and Democratic leaders have never asked me that question. The idea that they would take advice from a populist is disdainful to them. Now, which side seems to be more open and inclusive? Which side seems more welcoming? And which side tries really hard to drive you away if you disagree even a little with orthodoxy? Which side is asking for suggestions, and which one is demanding compliance and obedience? Autism Capital says, your pivot has been fascinating to watch. Yeah, Twitter algorithm loves this shit. Look at this, 52,000 likes, dude. Why is your uncle acting brand new? I don't know. I don't even for a second believe that any Republican will ever do something that is good, okay? I just don't. I don't believe it. Like, with the exception of like Thomas Massey, and I don't even know the full scope of his, sentiment and commentary. It's just like on the issue of Palestine, he seems to be pretty solid. But like, I just don't, outside of like certain pet projects, I just don't think that the Republican Party is even remotely interested in doing right by the American population. Like, they are very good at identifying things that the broader American electorate care about, and they're very good at filling the space when Democrats refuse to personally push for it, right? That is the unfortunate reality of the Democratic Party, is that they refuse to do anything about it. I've never heard a Democrat be like, man, what do we got to do about this fucking military budget? It's something that virtually every American that has heard about it is shocked by. There's a couple things that genuinely confuse people, okay? If you want to break the brains of the most normal, like the most politically normie guy, you can tell him two things. One, 32 states have made it illegal to protest peacefully against the state of Israel. You cannot boycott the state of Israel. You cannot demand sanctions for the state of Israel. And you cannot engage in any sort of divestment initiatives from the state of Israel. You will lose your job if you do so. You have to sign a petition in a place like in the state of Texas to be able to get a job in even a public school. That breaks every normie's mind. They're like, what? I thought America was a free speech safe haven. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay. Another thing that breaks people's minds, if you want to break up political normies' minds, tell them about the fact that the Pentagon has like trillions of dollars that no one knows where it went. Okay. Trillions of dollars just missing. They will straight up be like, what are you saying? Failed 7 audits in a row. When you say that, when you openly say that, they're like, oh my God, what the fuck? What are you talking about? How many billions has the Pentagon not accounted for? Pentagon, from responsiblestatecraft.com, this is back in 2023, Pentagon cannot account for 63% of the nearly $4 trillion in assets. The DOD regularly buys parts and equipment it doesn't need because it can't keep track of the parts and equipment it already owns. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, to be honest. I know it's not, but to a normie, I think it comes across like a conspiracy theory, but it's not. I mean, here, and if you want to understand like the way that the Democratic Party operates, here is fucking here's the leading progressive mainstream political commentator, Jon Stewart, a comedian, asking this exact same question. Here's what the response is.
A lot of waste, fraud, and abuse within a system.
Audits and waste, fraud, and abuse are not the same thing. So let's decompose these pieces.
Please educate me on
Sure.
What
so an audit is exactly what you just described, which is, do I know what was delivered to which place?
Right.
The ability to pass an audit or the fact that the DOD has not passed an audit is not suggestive of waste, fraud, and abuse. That is completely false right there. So
what is
now it's a question of, it's suggestive that we don't.
Bro, can you imagine saying that to the IRS? Like, hey, excuse me, federal agent of the IRS overseeing my case. The fact that I cannot pass this audit that you have suggested does not mean that there is financial abuse or waste or fraud happening. You running ads again? My blocker is causing your stream to freeze? No, I'm not. I'm fully funded entirely by you guys who subscribe to me. Back in the day, you used to subscribe to avoid the ads. Now I don't run ads and you still subscribe because you want to support the show. But that is who funds this broadcast for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Thank you, Austin 737-482-8274 for the 5 community gifted subs. And Eighth Rose Tempest, thank you for the 20 community gifted subs. Thank you, Prio97 for the 5 gifted subs. And Drusas for the 5 gifted subs as well. Flocke, thank you, Flocke. And Bobonot.
Have an accurate inventory that we can pull up of what we have where. That is not the same as saying we can't do that because waste, fraud, and abuse has occurred.
So in my world, that's waste.
How is that waste?
If I give you $1 billion and you can't tell me what happened to it, that to me is wasteful. That means you are not responsible. But if you can't tell me where it went, then what am I supposed to think? And when there has been reporting, I mean, this is not, look, I'm not saying this is on you and that you caused this, but I think it's a tough argument to make
sure
that
I didn't cause it.
An $850 billion budget to an organization that can't pass
a moon landing. The reason why I'm ignoring you, despite the fact that you gifted 5 gifted subs, is because the moon landing did not happen. Okay? And I'm fearful of coming to that recognition. I'm fearful of coming across like I even believe that the moon landing occurred when it clearly did not. Okay? That's it.
Audit and tell you where that money went. Like, I think most people would consider that somewhere in the realm.
Wait, Buzz Aldrin's gonna smack you? How about he fucking figure out his own goddamn life? Didn't he say he's pro-Trump? Didn't he? Buzz Aldrin pro-Trump?
Of waste, fraud, or abuse, because they would wonder
why
that money isn't well accounted for. And especially when they see food insecurity on military bases, and they see...
You want to talk about that? Because that's a good... we should be talking... I mean, I'm trying to understand where you're trying to go, other than the dollars, which really bother you.
I think it doesn't really bother me. I think it's all connected.
Okay.
I think
tell me that story. Tell me how you're thinking about that.
When I see a State Department get a certain amount of money and a military budget be 10 times that.
She's laughing at the concept of accountability your country's cooked. Brother, that's the military. What do you mean? Tim Pool's hairline ignores me too because I'm non-existent. Yeah, I mean, what's less existent, the moon landing or Tim Pool's hairline? It's Tim Pool's hairline. That's why I ignored your 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Tim Pool's hairline. Thank you, Freeman, for the 5 community gifted subs.
And I see a struggle within government to get people like more basic services. And then that department that got that, I mean, we got out of 20 years of war and the Pentagon got a $50 billion raise. Like, that's shocking to me. Now, I may not understand exactly the ins and outs and the incredible magic of an audit, but I'm a human being who lives on the earth and can't figure out how $850 billion to a department means that the rank and file still have to be on food stamps. Like, to me, that's fucking corruption. I'm sorry. And if that blows your mind, and if you think like that's like a crazy agenda for me to have, I really think that that's institutional thinking, and that it's not looking at the day-to-day reality of the people that you call the greatest fighting force in the world. So I get back to this idea of like, I'm not looking to pick a fight with you, but I am surprised at that the reaction to these questions are, you don't know what an audit is, bucko. Like, that's just weird to me.
Drone strike incoming, okay? The dismissiveness of the Deputy Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks in this clip is simply astounding. Jon Stewart points out the Pentagon keeps failing its audits, and she tries to laugh it off. This is the entrenched mentality the next Secretary of Defense will face. Yeah. If hundreds of billions of dollars not being accounted for and being seen as like impossible to audit over and over again is not indicative of waste, fraud, and abuse, what is? Like, this is a fantastic conversation to be having, because it's like you're basically undermining the concept behind why audits exist to begin with. You are just directly tackling the conversation on semantics by saying, why should there even be an audit? What are audits really? Who cares about numbers? Now, having said that, while this is a real issue, do I believe that DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, is going to fix it? Fuck no. Elon Musk is a defense contractor. If you think that that is going to happen, you are delusional. That's it. And I am willing to be completely wrong on this. I am excited at the prospect of being entirely wrong on this prediction. But it's the same principle behind RFK Jr. They will advocate for good things and never do the good things. They will advocate for good things, but their solution is bad. Okay? RFK Jr. says we have a health crisis in the way that we consume our food. He's right about that. But his solution is going to be putting a nuke on the FDA. Deregulation is not the solution. More regulation and correct regulation, adequate regulation is the solution to this problem. Okay? This is why I don't even trust the Democrats, but you will never catch me trusting the Republicans. This is a big mistake that a lot of people who are regular critics, what the fuck's wrong with me today? Regular critics of the Democratic Party oftentimes end up losing their skepticism of the Republican Party. And it's dumb. It's dumb as fuck. If I'm skeptical of the Democrats and don't believe the Democrats, why the fuck would I ever believe the Republicans? The reason why I'm skeptical of the Democrats is because of their closeness to the Republicans. This is something that I was very frustrated with when Glenn Greenwald would advocate for these positions early on before he went full tilt, right? Before he went full tilt right wing, Glenn Greenwald used to do this all the time. He would literally just like consistently hammer the Democrats. But then when it came to the Republican Party, he never had that same smoke for them. And it blew my fucking mind. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, if you are angry at the Democrats, you should be unimaginably angry at the Republicans. What are we doing? So make no mistake. I hate to see Unk fall for this, okay? But you have to remember, if you are critical of the Democratic Party, but then you find yourself believing some of the things that the Republicans are stating, I don't know. It's like Bernie Sanders. He's talking about working with the Trump administration. It's like, no, you're not, dog. You ain't getting shit done. You understand me? He is not doing shit for you. Okay? You barely got stuff done as a junior partner in the Biden coalition. You think Trump is going to fucking give you anything? That's crazy. I think this comes from a place of the Democratic Party legitimately pushing away people in its own base over and over and over again. That's it. That's what is happening here. Okay? That's what happened in Dearborn. That's what happened with all the young men that went the Joe Rogan route. What happened to these young men? Where did they go? Well, there's an active and deliberate mechanism pushing everybody away. It's called the Democratic Party. And they're doing that because they don't want to win with these coalitions. They want to win on their own terms. And if they lose, it doesn't matter because that's going to yield a bountiful fundraising opportunity for them. All of the awfulness that the Republican Party will subject the American population to is, once again, in the simplest terms, a fantastic revenue opportunity. When I became a Democrat, it was the more tolerant party. Republicans were run by religious nutjobs and corporate robots. Now the Republicans are, in a lot of ways, the less tolerant party. The least tolerant part is actually the establishment wing of the party that says anyone opposing their anointed leaders is committing heresy. If you try to give them constructive criticism of the party to improve it, they drive you from the party while screaming, he's not a real Democrat. They hate populists. They have become the corporate robots I couldn't stand. They hate their base. They insult our intelligence by pretending that the donors are not in charge. They think we should be controlled and learn how to follow orders. And they have no idea how elitist they sound. Predictably, their unironic reaction to this post will be heretic. The issue with this statement is that, and I can't believe I'm repeating this, he's right about all of it. But there is a key detail that is being omitted from this, okay? Which is the Republicans are also run by the same fucking corporate masters. Elon Musk is the richest person on the planet and directly manipulated the outcomes of this election. He personally was invested in Donald Trump. What the fuck are we doing? Out of the top 10 mega donors, okay? Out of the top 10 mega donors, I think the top 7 in this election cycle that combined, I think, fundraised like almost $1 billion fucking dollars or whatever. Every single one of them donated to the Republican Party. Okay? Yes, we are uniparty in this country. Yes, abso-fucking-lutely, the Democrats are beholden to their corporate masters in the same exact ways that the Republicans are. But the notion that, like, one party is dishonest and you know, beholden to their corporate benefactors and oftentimes incredibly resistant to change, while the other party is also doing that exact same fucking shit, it just like makes no sense. It makes no sense. I think he's right in the sense that Republicans embrace anyone who claims to be a Republican, sex offender or not, while Democrats hate progressives more than Republicans. Yes, this is true. And this needs to change. This is true, and it needs to change. And the Democratic Party is dog shit for doing this, okay? He's right about this. But I warn people, as I always have and always will, that this kind of thinking, if this kind of thinking leads you down the assumption that, like, well, there's some honesty in the Republican Party, and that's all you care about without thinking about the underlying issues of policy and underlying issues of the Republican Party's overarching ideology, their ideological interest in maintaining capitalism and being beholden to the same fucking corporate masters, but having the permission to be honest about that because of their position in the American duopoly, you are going to find yourself captivated by snakes in a different suit. This is not me advocating to hug and kiss and you know, hold on to the Democrats. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we should forcibly change the trajectory and the ideological goals of the Democratic Party, the one party in our duopoly that is supposed to be the counterbalance to growing fascism. Okay? There will never be a moment where I will turn around and say, man, the Republicans sure are great. I despise the Democratic Party for its closeness to the Republican Party. Okay? This is something that I will always stand on. This is something that I will always advocate for. And I do not trust the Democrats when they say they're going to do fucking social safety nets. And that doesn't mean I'm going to trust the Republicans when they claim to do so. Okay? I certainly do not trust the fucking Republicans when they say they're going to cut down on, you know, military spending. The Republicans hard-won diversity is strictly used as a weapon and a shield when they actively work for racist policies. Cenk is getting duped while he is correct. It's not one or the other. You can and must disown them both. Yeah. And that is what makes the criticism of the left so unbearable, because they view it as shitting on them when in reality it's criticism to make things better. I know. A lot of people have no understanding of where I'm coming from, where they're so primed, so conditioned into thinking, oh, you're a naysayer. You fucking hate. You hate the Democrats. You're not a Democrat. You must be a Republican. That's what they say. And it's stupid, but the most outspoken parts of the Democratic Party's base of support have basically adopted this position, this framework. They do it. They do it in my chat. They do it on TikTok. I used to make fun of them all the time. I would ask them, show me your pay stubs. Is the DNC paying you? I have DNC operatives in my community. I talk to them. I debate with them. They openly will recognize that I'm right when, you know, history absolves me of the sin of criticizing the Democratic Party. Where are your pay stubs? For many, they simply jump on this talking point without really examining it, because that's what they've heard from mainstream outlets. That's the mainstream outlets that are pumping this narrative over and over again. And people have no way to deal with the issue. They have no way of examining or interrogating what's wrong with this sentiment. And they just kind of go along with it without thinking about it. And it's wrong. Do you not get behind Democrat policies that you like? I do. Of course I do. And I defend it. The Republicans are more reasonable at this point. Trump's economic policy is going to be better. for America and that's better for everyone, yeah, you're totally right. Mass deportation of 20 million people that are participating in the American economy in very meaningful ways will certainly be better. Or tariffs being slapped on all consumer goods coming in from China with no adequate, domestic manufacturing substitute will certainly also be inflationary, but that'll be good for the economy as well. No, and before people say you're a racist monster to this chatter, no, this chatter in many ways is no different than the fucking average liberal who will defend the Democratic Party without ever questioning it. The average liberal that says like, oh, you don't understand. Gaza is going to be so much worse under Donald Trump. It's like, bro, the people that you're advocating for are currently pummeling Gaza. What are you talking about? A lot of people simply just repeat shit without thinking about it. And this is something that many people don't understand. Trump taps Dr. Mehmet Öz to serve as Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator. Oh my God, we got a Turkish goat in the building. Oh my God. Okay, dude. Put him in charge of Pennsylvania, dude. Okay, look, I don't like Mehmet Öz, okay? I don't like Mehmet Öz at all, as you guys know, but I gotta fucking do this for a second for the Turks out there. As bayrakları! As! As bayrakları! Masa biziz! Yürüyün! Amerika'nın sağlığı elimizde. Vurun, yürüyün yiğitler. Was he doing the thing I don't understand jokes or what is happening? Is this more terror support? These people are singing in scary language. Please stop. Yeah. Another instance of supporting terrorism once again for showcasing Mehter Marşı. The whole chat said I was nuts for saying Trump was significantly better on Ukraine and North Korea than the Democrats, and now Biden in the lame duck has massively escalated. I'm sorry, but I've been completely vindicated and I would like my flowers. You won't address this because I'm correct. What? Donald Trump put forth like war hawks in the competent aspects of his administration. What the fuck are you talking about? You think Marco Rubio is going to be de-escalatory? No. America is the most uniparty when it comes to foreign policy, okay? Because American foreign policy is not dictated by ideological considerations. American foreign policy is dictated by capitalism and upholding capitalism. Okay, bro said he's going to end it. Yeah, okay, dude. He also said he's going to end the fucking... He's going to let Israel finish the job on Gaza. What does that mean? You think he's going to be better on fucking Gaza? You think he's going to be better for the Palestinians? Get the fuck out of here. Okay? America's interests in Ukraine have nothing to do with the emancipatory goals of Ukraine, ridding its national boundaries of Russian invaders, okay? America's goals is to offload all of their older fucking equipment and keep the fucking military engine running. It is in their best interest to continue the war for as long as Ukraine can hold out, for as long as Ukraine has people who can hold on to these arms and shoot in the direction of the Russian forces. America will continue to fucking escalate, and America will continue to fucking, give Ukraine weapons over and over again. While I disagree with, the long-range missiles, unless it's going to be a significant shift in this battle, and I don't think it will because of the reasons that I just gave you, okay? There is no ideological difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Okay, emancipatory goals. Let me say, oh no, I'm serious. Yeah, like you think America is invested in in the freedom of Ukraine? No, they don't. They don't care about that. That's not a real thing. That's never been a real consideration. Please, guys. Why do you think Trump's advent is motivated entirely by capital? Mass deportation contradicts that. The argument against mass deportation or the argument against white nativist anti-immigrant sentiment is that it's a wonderful mechanism to distract away from the real holders of capital, the real enemies of the American working class. And number two, the two-tier structure that is created within documented and undocumented labor is literally the most capitalist thing. It is capitalism in overdrive. It is hyper-exploitative. Without the proper paperwork, these people are purposefully put in a position where they're outside of the boundaries of the regular legal system where they can demand back pay and have some sort of recourse. The entire purpose of having this two-tier labor structure is for capitalist interests. If there was a real racist, white nativist, anti-immigrant purpose here, they would pull the Portland route, okay? Oregon was originally invented as a white enclave, so much so that they were anti-slavery. Why were they anti-slavery? Because they didn't want to be around black people that bad. Okay? If someone was really that fucking racist, if there was a real, genuine racist priority here and not simply a capitalist one, they would be punishing business owners that knowingly hire undocumented labor. They will never do that. Okay? They will never do that. Imagine deporting fucking corporate owners and executives for hiring migrant labor and farmhands. That would never happen in a million years. The entire system is designed in a way where you can use and hyper exploit these undocumented laborers. This depresses wages for every American across the board. Okay. It keeps the cost of goods relatively low, especially in the agricultural sector, for example. And then simultaneously, these people have no legal recourse. So then you call ICE on your own fucking labor force and you wipe them out. And then you go back to the same fucking veins and you tap a new fresh pool of undocumented migrant workers and you bring them to the same fucking trailer park that you now evicted a ton of undocumented laborers from. That's it. Is that also logic for tariffs? So we blame China for everything? I still don't understand why he pushes for tariffs. I think tariffs are supposed to be a substitute for all the tax cuts that are coming in. And it's also a mechanism for Donald Trump to influence the corporate, it's a mechanism to influence corporate leaders to terrify them with the threat of tariffs in their sector if they don't comply. That's what I think. So it's to clean the slate and reduce their wage prices. I think that mass deportation will not come in the way that you think it will. I think that they are going to forcibly enslave the undocumented laborers in private prison facilities that they will build and force them back to work at gunpoint, potentially. There's also a never-ending pool of undocumented workers that will always come to the United States of America. We have destroyed the global South, and, that is one of the many bountiful benefits of such a process. Both climate change and our direct intervention to the global South have created migration patterns that are impossible to combat unless you change trajectory on foreign policy in general. Okay? This has to be the craziest take I've ever heard you have. We are going to enslave people now. Come on, man, brother. We already enslave people. It's called the 13th Amendment. Slavery as a form of punishment is not only legal and constitutionally protected. Californians literally voted to maintain slavery as a form of punishment this past election cycle by 53%. Okay? Now, of course, we don't frame it in that way because of Western chauvinism. We always say, oh, work camps, gulags, they only do that in Russia. Okay? They do that in, one chatter said Xinjiang. Yeah, they do that in China. They do that in Russia. They don't do that here. It's like, dude, we have literally the number one. We have the largest slave force on the planet. You understand that, right? We have direct state penitentiaries that are named after the plantation that they're placed upon, like Angola, the Louisiana State Penitentiary, okay, where the overwhelming majority of the prisoners are black. And yes, they literally pick cotton. Aren't they criminals? Wait, what? So you are fine with slavery. Got it. Okay. Yeah. The people in prison. Okay. We are going to be putting undocumented migrants in prison as well, and we will enslave them. Now you've arrived at exactly what I was saying. You are fine with slavery as a form of punishment. It seems like you understand exactly what we were doing. I don't think we are going to engage in mass deportation. I think we're going to engage in mass enslavement and then deportation, but deportation is too costly, so we'll kill them. That's what I think. Okay? If you want to know what the agenda looks like, well, I can only look back in history at a time when this happened before, when Adolf Hitler wanted to do a mass deportation policy for Jews and socialists and trade unionists alike, and he started it with a Madagascar plan, and it ended with death camps. There's plenty of fascist historic precedent to point to if you want to understand where America is heading towards. This is an unimaginably costly endeavor. Deportation is bilateral. Other countries have to agree to receiving people. Yeah. Well, not only that, but also we already dominate Mexico, or at least Mexico plays ball to a certain degree with playing the role of border security, with the hopes that they don't get too much scrutiny from the United States of America. And they've played ball so far. Don't know if they'll continue to do so, but I doubt that they would be open to the mass deportation of tens of millions of people. Also, this happened in the United States of America before. Anyway, I thought it would be enslavement of the existing U.S. prison population. That already happens. You need to see this Democratic strategist crashing out on Twitter. I can't believe the D's lost when we have professors at AZ State using racial slurs against white people. I can't believe the Dems lost when they have peak gringo strategists like this one. Racial slurs against white people? Homie just thought we would go straight to 1700 slavery and not manufacturing consent first? Yes. You're openly hoping for racial violence to target Muslims. No, I'm telling you the check is coming due for their naivete about Trump's plans for them. Yeah, gringo is a slur now. Okay? And so is cracker. Please. It's worse than that. She's absolutely unhinged. Here's a full list of people I'll be schadenfreudeing over the Trump check, over when the Trump check comes due. The climate nuts who attack cultural artifacts and shut down traffic. The pro-Hamas people. Working class people who just voted themselves back to peasantry. Blacks for Trump. McConnell R's. Latinos for Republicans. Women's for Republicans. What am I missing? Time voters, they are covered in the climate nuts and the Hamas lovers. I probably won't be able to stop the schadenfreude when Shahid gets deported. Oh my God. Fantasizing about the deportation of a Muslim Democratic strategist is crazy work. Okay? That is crazy, brother. Yo! Like, these are people who are actively being like, here's what we need to solve. We want the Democrats to win. Please, 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 please. Okay? Former advisor to Jamie Harrison, aka the chair to the DNC. Yeah, if you want to understand, if you want to personally understand like what the leading minds in the Democratic Party operate as, here it is. Oh, what a sadistic little fucking monster this person is. The son of a gringo and a hiole, please don't joke. What is a hiole? At least the people disagreed in the replies. I mean, who gives a shit? When I tell you high-level people were in meetings with this lady and she went on a national tour doing seminars with campaigns like she was actually influencing shit. Yeah. No, I know. I see it. I know. I know. These are the top minds of the Democratic Party. Do you understand why there's an issue here? Do you get what's going on? Yes, and Muslim. Haitians, other people of African descent, will be the first to be targeted. Yes, and Muslims and trans people and Latino people, which is why I'm going scorched earth on people who helped Trump win by doing stupid shit all year. Most of whom won't pay the check because they'll have options for themselves. You literally want those people to suffer because they didn't vote for your political party. Why are you trying to pretend otherwise? You gave yourself away. You can't unring the bell, dude. No, I want the people who led these movements into not voting for Harris to suffer. They won't, though. All of them have exit options. The people that screwed over or not. Oh, Howley. Yeah, I wonder why tens of millions of people that previously had voted for the Democratic Party didn't show up to vote with these top minds leading the battle. I mean, this level of like entitlement over people's votes and this level of like genuine resentment for the average fucking voter that they're supposed to at least aesthetically fucking claim to care about is so funny. Like top Democrat campaign strategists openly saying that, oh, you fucking black people and you fucking Latinos and you fucking Muslims, you're going to all get deported because you didn't vote for the candidate that, you know, because of my candidate. I'm fantasizing about like all of you getting deported right now and then simultaneously acting like, you know, you deserve this deportation because you didn't vote for me. It's like, yeah, if you fucking have that kind of attitude, of course people are not going to literally vote for you. Yeah, I just imagine Hamas killing you type beat. Exactly. Yes, I know she was the advisor to Jamie Harrison. Look at this. Election Whisperer says, don't panic about Trump versus Biden polls. Rachel Byte-Kofer, who gleefully fantasizes about deporting people, was once advising DNC chair Jamie Harrison should tell you everything. When leadership listens to voices dripping with this kind of venom, it's no surprise they lost to Donald Trump. Rachel currently serves with the DNC committee chair Jamie Harrison. In previous roles as the advisor to DNC and the Michigan Democratic Party, she offers strategic consulting and voter projections to ensure candidate victories. Toppling paradigms for near-perfect results accuracy in every cycle since 2018, Rachel secured her reputation as the election whisperer for political forecasting. She's doing that populism now. Election Whisperer says, don't panic. Oh, wow. Look at this one. If France goes to fascism, it'll be because of the refugees they took in from war-torn Middle Eastern countries are using French freedom to shit all over the country that gave them refuge. I clipped it, bro. That's Pope, dude. Yeah. The Pope is anti-Semitic. Okay? That's right. Actually, I'll take it one step further. The Pope is Hamas. Liberals don't want to hear it, but when you bring 6 million non-white people into a country with an already resurgent racism issue while inflation is high, you're going to pay a price. If we survive, we need to meet the electorate where it is on immigration. The question I always have for these fucking dipshits is like, why aren't you just a Republican then? It seems like you have Republican attitudes. It seems like you are openly a reactionary charlatan. What is the difference between you and the average Republican? I don't understand it. This is a question I have for Bill Maher as well. This is a question I have for Bill Maher. Bill Maher, and there was someone who basically posted a TikTok of this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. My sentiment about Bill Maher the other day. Okay, let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. This is the thing that I fucking despise about smarmy liberals that fancy themselves to be so much more intelligent than the fucking dumbass Republicans, while simultaneously they hallucinate in the same exact direction as those dumbass Republicans. They have a purpose, okay? They have a reason for this cognitive dissonance. They're mainlining it on a daily basis from Fox News. You, on the other hand, you're supposed to be well-educated. So what's your fucking excuse, you idiot? Like, how the fuck can you be like, these stupid Republicans believe the dumbest things, and I believe them too? Ugh. Like, what? They're transphobic. So are you. They think we need to have a muscular border policy because immigrants are doing crimes. So do you. They want Israel to be able to fucking melt Gaza. So do you. What's the difference? That you're just like marginally more pro-gay than the average hog? Is that what it is? Yeah, they're anti-vaxxers. So is Bill Maher. What's the difference? Like, what is it? What do you want? What more do you want? He wants the Republican policies, but he wants to be smug and intellectual about its defense. You stupid, dumb Republicans don't understand. Like, what is it? Why did he vote Democrat if he stands as Republicans? He just hates the Republicans. He thinks the Republicans are dumb. He hates Republicans. He thinks Republicans are dumb. He claims to hate religion, but loves Israel, okay, which is a religious ethno-state. So there's that. Don't have that intellectual hang-up. So how the fuck did you arrive at so many similar goddamn positions to the average hog then? That's it. Hey, it's me in the comments chat. Nice. What is that? What's the difference? What separates you from Republicans at this point? You constantly talk about how much you fucking hate the Republican Party, but then you also talk about how awesome their ideas are and how awesome the dumb hogs are or how right they got certain things. Okay? Yeah, the hat color is different. Anyway, speaking of the Democratic Party and where the Democratic Party is taking us in the lame duck session, will they actually make sure that Lena Khan has at least until 2026? Will they make her position permanent? Who knows? Will they use that as an opportunity? Will they use the lame duck session as an opportunity to build up a resilient network of laws and rules that potentially could at least undermine the upcoming Trump administration? Probably not. 94-95 is actually bouldering its way through both the House of Representatives and the Senate, it seems, which, by the way, is a nuclear atomic bomb for any sort of activist organization, any sort of activist nonprofit. The Treasury can just simply, without any evidence whatsoever, declare any group to be a terror organization, no evidence necessary, and take away their nonprofit status. Just so you understand, that doesn't, right now, the Democrats are voting for it because they are, AIPAC hacks that think, oh yeah, they'll just take away all the pro-Palestinian advocacy groups. Okay? They're fucking stupid. It won't just stop with the Palestinian advocacy groups. It shouldn't even extend to Palestinian advocacy groups regardless. But it won't stop there. Okay? The Republicans will go after every single non-profit. Okay? You are a fucking psycho. Here's Chris Murphy, who has become more woke in these last couple of months, saying a frequent tool of dictators is to label politician opposition groups as terrorist groups and shut them down. This bill up for a vote this week would give Trump the power to do just that. It's disastrous, and apparently there are House Democrats considering voting for it. Straight up, dude. Straight the fuck up. They are going to come after Planned Parenthood. They're going to come after every fucking special group, every special interest group. I'm telling you right now. Trevor Project, any sort of LGBTQ advocacy group, every single one of them is gone. And these dumb fuck Democrats, 52 of them already voted yes. 52 Democrats voted yes for this. Any sort of immigrant advocacy group will be targeted with this. It's not just going to be, you are just being alarmist right now, bro. Seen this already in spades. I know. Yeah, I'm being so alarmist. Why? Because I take Trump seriously when he says he's going to do something. Can't they just make it for profit? Brother, what are you saying? These are nonprofit advocacy groups that rely on their nonprofit status so that they can fucking maintain donations. What are you talking about? What the fuck? Who's going to donate if they don't even get a fucking tax break out of it? You are cutting across their structure, their revenue generation structure dramatically. This is how you undermine labor unions as well. When their tax exemption goes away, when their tax exemption status goes away, all of a sudden, significantly less people are going to be able to donate to these places. This is how they did, this is how they undermined labor unions in this country. Many people don't recognize this, but they tackled the revenue structure of labor unions. That's how they went after it. And they presented it as a pathway, not trying to be smart, just trying to understand if there's any way out of this. Yeah, if they make it for profit, then there's no tax exemption. If you donate to them, can they go after you for saying you support terrorists? Yes, they already do that. First, people say, I'm alarmist. Then they recognize that it's happening, at which point they go, okay, maybe you weren't alarmist, but I still remember how you made me feel when you were ringing the alarm bells. So I'm going to carry on that resentment against you. That's usually how this goes. History does have the capacity to vindicate me with regular frequency. And yet the people that originally were against what I was saying never forget how I made them feel. I made them feel stupid and weak and small in that moment. And even if they do agree with me now, even if they understand that, or even if they've independently arrived at the conclusion, maybe when it's far too late, they still remember the resentment that they had early on. And they carry on that resentment and they still continue with the fuck Assange shit. Perhaps you should find a way to engage that won't create that reaction. Yes, you're right. It's my fault that I'm right. And people would rather fucking shoot and kill the messenger, re-examine their position. You're correct. All this means is, yeah, no, I'm dumb, and it's your fault that I am. Anyway, I know Dr. Oz is going to be in charge of Medicare and Medicaid. Here is Dana Fash saying some unhinged-ass bullshit about the fucking neo-Nazi demonstrations that took place in Columbus, Ohio the other day.
Talk about something that happened over the weekend, not in your district, in Columbus. A group of neo-Nazis paraded through that city waving swastikas, covering their faces. This is not the first time this sort of thing has happened in Ohio in particular, and of course it's continuing to spread. We don't know what side of the aisle this comes from. I mean,
yeah, you don't really? You don't know? You don't know which side of the aisle this comes from? Are you out of your dang mind? Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, how can you say that? In all honesty, like, how can you fucking say that? CNN has lost their dang minds, dude. What a fucking crock of nonsense. What a crock of shit.
Typically, neo-Nazis are for the far right.
Yeah.
You had protests from the far left at your house.
Correct.
As a Jewish member.
Yeah. Yeah, they slept outside my house for days. And, my takeaway is this has got to stop. And the surge of anti-Semitism is global, but it's certainly here in the United States. And
like, imagine staring down the barrel of American fascism and just being like, let me use this as an opportunity to fucking shit on pro-Palestinian demonstrators, many of which are Jewish themselves, by the way, but we're going to conveniently ignore that fucking reality. Psychos. They don't give a shit about anything. This is why liberals engage in water carrying for the Trump administration on a regular basis, because Trump can do all of the mean and violent things that they too desire, but they can't openly state. Okay? It's great. You can maintain your moral high ground aesthetically while simultaneously basically fucking, agreeing with a lot of the shit that Trump is doing. That's it. I know Dr. Oz is in charge of Medicare and Medicaid, chat. I know.
And it does require leaders on both sides of the aisle to say, don't do that.
Trying to confront the right on Twitter on this, and the base of the argument is they're feds because, trust me, bro. I mean, dude, do they have federal agents in neo-Nazi movements? Abso-fucking-lutely. What do you think, that doesn't exist? No. Some are ideologically there, and others are there to infiltrate and intercept and maybe use them as a tool whenever they see fit. I do agree with that statement. Having said that, however, these neo-Nazi movements suspiciously become infinitely more prominent and infinitely more galvanized when Donald Trump becomes president. How the fuck did that happen? Yeah, being feds are their day job. Yeah, there is an undercurrent of resilient fascist sentiment in this country. And the more that kind of sentiment is normalized at the top of the leadership, the more these people feel comfortable openly demonstrating. That's it. It's that simple. It's not that fucking crazy. Do I believe that there are feds involved in the process? Fuck yes, I do. Okay? Of course. But that does not change the reality that this is, you know, a resilient, never examined neo-Nazi movement that very much exists in this country. Has never really gone away.
Is your party doing that enough?
I think some in my party are doing a ton and some are silent.
Growing fascism, equating them to... I was wrong. There's a bald man Hasanabi resents. Absolutely. Staring down the barrel of growing fascism in this country and using it as an opportunity to bash anti-genocide protests by equating them to neo-Nazis is preposterous. These people feel entirely too comfortable with this new admin. Yeah. Even worse, Dana Fash moment. Yeah. You came to a place of Jewish worship, stood on the bema near the Holy Torah scroll, and pretended to be congregants. You have no shame, no decency, no clue what you're talking about. Code Pink says, Code Pink, by the way, is led by Medea Benjamin, a tiny Jewish lady who I love and have deep admiration for. Okay. And, you know, many of the Code Pink activists are like elderly Jewish folk, for the record. So just so you understand, like these people have been invested in the no war movement for a very long time. But let's see what happened here.
Hi, my name is Liz Holzman, and I want to tell you that I'm really upset at what I perceive to be of anti-Semitism. This is not true, and that is very anti-Semitic and very dangerous to our Jewish community and our Jewish values. When you do that...
Yeah, this is like every Code Pink activist, by the way. Just so you understand, like, virtually every Code Pink activist is like a 65-year-old tiny Jewish lady, okay? I have endless respect for them. Everybody always talks about how like, you know, they're backed by the Russians or whatever the fuck. They are some of the sweetest people, okay? And they're fantastic. They're great. They've been at this game for a very, very long time as well.
I just don't know if you understand that you are being a mouthpiece for the genocide in Gaza. That is wrong. Genocide is the most anti-Semitic thing out there. This woman is 90 years old. She's a Holocaust survivor. She stands outside the White House every single day because she lost people in the Holocaust, and she's aware that what is going on now is a Holocaust. Do you have an answer for me? I'd really like to know.
Okay. I'm not here to debate. I will just say one thing. Being anti-Israel, anti-Israeli government is not anti-Semitic.
Okay. Well, that's what the protests are about on campus. No. And you cited them several times. I have been to those protests.
Have you been to the ones at my house where they call me Zionist trash and call
Yo, dude, come on, dude. Come on. Like, what are you saying? What are you saying, dude? It's so funny. Oh my God. Everything is so, no self-reflection whatsoever, okay? No self-reflection whatsoever. No reason. Yeah, I'm the real victim in this situation. My feelings were hurt because people said I was a Zionist. Now, I have to be very careful because I don't want to get banned, okay? Twitch's official position is that saying someone is Zionist trash is a bannable offense. I disavow this statement. as I am a loyal soldier for Twitch, and I do not want to get banned, so I can continue being an outward critic of the Israeli state and the things that the Israeli state does. Okay? You should not say it in the chat either. You will get reported. But the reality of the matter is, Dana Fash is a fascist. That's it. Zionism is a fascist ideology. Dana is not Jewish. Wait, why is she at a synagogue? I mean, it doesn't matter if she's Jewish or not, regardless. But I think she is. But that plays no role in this. Okay? Haas, you are so cooked. Why am I cooked? What? I'm not saying anything. Yeah. You laughing has been clipped and shipped already, I'm afraid. Okay, whatever. Everybody calm down. Listen to me. I think Dana Fash is Jewish, but her background, her religious background, her ethnic background plays no role in this calculation. Okay? It does not. You just called it fascism? What? Would you enjoy pro-Israel people yelling at you every night outside your house? I don't think that's appropriate or helpful. You just called it fascism? Brother, first of all, it is, okay? What are you saying? It literally is. It is an ethno-supremacist, ethno-religious supremacist ideology that is built around the forceful expulsion of the outgroup. That is fascism to a T, okay? You might not agree with that, but it is the reality, okay? I don't know if you covered this yet, but the New York Times killed an investigation into Israeli hooliganism story seeking to disprove the initial reporting. They accidentally, yeah, I saw. They accidentally reported the internal emails. They forwarded to an electronic intifada reporter. I saw that. Yeah, we covered it yesterday. It was very funny. I mean, it's not very funny that they just straight up fucking dunked on it. But straight up yeeted the story into orbit. Okay. Dana Bash is complicit and a propagandist, a mouthpiece for American-backed genocide in Gaza that Israel is conducting. That is the truth. Okay? Criticizing that and, protesting that is understandable. There is a difference between good things and bad things. Also, when people go, oh, how would you like it if pro-Israeli people were outside your house yelling at you all the time? Brother, pro-Israeli people and institutions, organizations that are pro-Israel are literally for the past month now trying to get me banned off this fucking platform. What are you saying? Oh man, what would I ever do? What would I ever do if pro-Israeli people would actively try to stop me from criticizing Israel? I wonder what that would look like. These people do this because they're powerless. People do this because they are fucking powerless, because they know CNN is never going to fire Dana Bash for being pro-Israel. Okay? I just described to you that, Zionist is no longer an appropriate term that is allowed on this fucking platform. How do you think that happened? Let's continue.
For the intifada against me?
Okay. I'm not going to single out the extremists. You talked about the protests on campus.
Those are extremists.
Those are not anti-Semitic.
There are many genuine pro-Palestinian protests.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
What I am talking about are when people say from the river to the sea, they want to do away.
Yeah. The real problem here is saying that Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. That's the real issue. Not the hundreds of thousands, not the millions displaced, hundreds of thousands, every single fucking school bombed, every single fucking hospital bombed with American weapons, by the way, with unlimited support for Israel to do so. That's not a real issue. The real issue is how my feelings. The real issue is my feelings, okay? And how scary it is when people say emancipatory slogans about Palestinians. That is what's scary, and that is anti-Semitic. Shut the fuck up. Just melting children on a daily fucking basis. Like, how imaginably narcissistic, self-involved, ridiculous. How ridiculous, dude. Wow, people are against my position, as I have routinely stated and compared college campus protesters to neo-Nazis in the United States of America, as I'm going to continue doing over and over again. Dana Bash also personally participated in the Rashida Tlaib slander campaign started by Jake Tapper when they turned around and said Dana Nessel. Rashida Tlaib's criticisms of Dana Nessel demanding accountability from the Michigan Attorney General for a deep blue Democratic state with the largest Muslim population, the Attorney General going forward with the prosecution of campus protesters that were pro-Palestinian was a unique first step that calls into question why the Attorney General's office in this regard was handling this situation differently than Black Lives Matter protesters, for example. That double standard, which is glaringly obvious, was immediately and roundly condemned and criticized by Dana Bash and Jake Tapper as anti-Semitic. What do you mean unique first step? It is unique for a democratic deep blue state like Michigan to go after protesters like this, okay? Protesters that are not harming anybody, okay? Claiming that they're being like anti-Semitic or engaging in obstruction of justice or whatever the fuck they slapped them with. They were demonstrating. Most attorney generals, even in red states, even in fucking Texas, dropped these cases. Why the fuck did Michigan not do that? Michigan voted Trump, not deep blue. First of all, Michigan, until this last election, has been deep blue, and it still is deep blue in its state governance. What are you talking about? At the time when Rashida Tlaib was calling into question what the fuck was going on there, it was deep blue. Not MB Zasan, I think you'd be more effective if you did more fact-finding on stream as opposed to debunking. Just my thoughts on someone who respects your work. What do you mean? I do both of those things.
With the state of Israel, when they come to my house and go to other places.
Except that the Likud government says from the river to the sea.
What?
Yeah, they do. It's in their fucking charter. And they're the ones who are doing genocide right now. But you have no issues with that, Dana. Or at least you aesthetically claim to be against it. Anyway.
In the future, the state of Israel have to control on the entire area from the river to the sea.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about Gabor Mate in a second. But so we arrived at this, by the way, because we were just talking about Dana Fash. We were just talking about Dana Fash and how she had personally claimed that she didn't know where the neo-Nazis were coming from. And one of the things that is unique about, or not so unique, but like this is a consistent thing that she has done, right? Nazis protesting outside his house. She's Mike Figueredo of the Humanist Report is here talking about the other person that is standing across from Dana Fash, this Ohio congressperson, this Democrat from Ohio. By the way, Dana Bash was literally there to promote her book. I think that the Jewish ladies who are there to dialogue are more rightfully in a place of worship than some dumbass promoting her book. Yeah, that too. The people protesting outside of his house that she compared to literal Nazis were his constituents begging their congressman to condemn the genocide. His background is in education, so they tried to raise awareness of the schools being bombed to get him to care. He ignored them and just complained about their protests and implied they were all anti-Semitic. What are people supposed to do when you don't listen to the reasonable demands that they are making? What are they supposed to do? This is an act of desperation. Protesters gather outside Representative Landman's home 1 year after the October 7th terror attacks. It's so dumb. Like this is people who are still holding on to the idea that these politicians are kind humans in their hearts, okay? These are people who are doing this final act of desperation. Do you understand? This is a final act of desperation from people who say, listen, please do the right thing. You're not going to do it. It seems like you haven't done it, but maybe if you understand, maybe if we can tug at your heartstrings as you are an educator, maybe we can get you to comprehend that like other educators overseas are being blown up with our weapons, with our bombs. I'm Jewish and the safety I felt at pro-Palestine protests this past years have been insurmountable. These are peace-loving individuals who want to see an end to the genocide period. Exactly. I just got a response from him on Israel's attack on Lebanon, and he fucking said Iran has been attacking Israel for a long time. He also voted yay for 94-95. It's so incredibly frustrating that these people operate like this. This is not a decent shield, okay? It is not a shield that works any longer. It actually serves a very anti-Semitic purpose. When you tie Judaism falsely to an apartheid regime doing a genocide, think in the interim period it might be an adequate defense. You might be able to even silence some critics, okay? But all you are doing is falsely smearing the Jewish population with the crimes of a nation state that does not have the Jewish population's best interest in mind. I will never stand down from this imaginably dangerous mischaracterization, okay? I will always protest against it. I will always speak the truth. If you demand that I lie to you, I'm not going to do that. It's so fucking annoying.
I'll go back to your lecture, and you talked about compassion of recognition, compassion of understanding, compassion of truth. We are approaching October 7th.
Yeah.
When the horrible massacre happened in Israel.
Yeah.
Where young children were murdered, burned, babies in ovens.
That didn't happen. There were no babies in ovens.
Yeah. There were babies in ovens in Deir Yassin during the Nakba, where Haganah, Lihi, and Irgun, these different terror cells, some of which that openly called themselves terror cells, by the way, went into Palestinian villages, and they did actually, in at least one of them, in Deir Yassin, threw a child into an oven and made his father watch, and then threw his father into that oven afterwards as well. So it's not a thing that has never happened. It certainly has happened. It just did not happen on October 7th. The people that did that then led, that went on to create the Israeli nation state, by the way.
Oh, yes, they were.
No, they weren't. That's been refuted even by the Israelis. Let's agree on what we do agree on, okay? A horrible massacre happened. People were killed in their homes. Civilians
were killed, were raped.
There's been no evidence of mass deliberate rapes. I'll let you finish your question.
How
Go
do
ahead.
I find compassion for these people?
Which people?
The animals that did that.
The animals that did that. How do we have compassion for these animals? I've been to Palestine. 2.5 years ago, I went there to work with Palestinian women who've been tortured in Israeli jails, which has been documented by Israeli Physicians for Human Rights, by B'Tselem, the Israeli human rights organization, by United Nations and others. Nobody ever talks about the thousands of Palestinians. Did you know that 2 Palestinian doctors were tortured to death recently by Israel? Doctors tortured to death. History did not begin on October the 7th. In Canada, 4 years ago, there was a poll. Now, thousands of children died in those schools. People were tortured, raped, all kinds of stuff. 70% of Canadians knew nothing or little about the residential schools. To what happened to indigenous people. If you do a poll in the United States, until very few years ago, and even now, most people will know nothing about what happened to the indigenous people here. Nothing. The genocide, the torture, the rape, the starvation. They know nothing about it. And in some states in the United States, it's illegal to even to teach it in the schools. Do you think the average Jew knows anything about the indigenous people of Palestine? These animals that you talk about, the first massacre of Palestinians in Gaza didn't happen last year. Didn't even happen 4 or 5 years ago when they killed hundreds of children with their bombs. It happened in 1956. In 1956, they massacred 200 civilians. Do you know about it? You've never heard of it. Of course you haven't heard of it. That's why you can call them animals. Otherwise, you'd see them like human beings like the rest of us. That place where we call other people animals, if you want to live there, that's your choice. I don't want to live there. I want to understand people. I want to understand what happened to them. I want to know why they behave the way they behave. I'm not into justifying taking civilian hostages. I said that was unjustifiable. Why you didn't hear me, I don't know. I said there were massacres that shouldn't have happened. Why you didn't hear me, I don't know. You know why you didn't hear me? Because you live in a bubble, that's why.
What? Uses tactics against them, call him a Nakba denier? Lol, what are you talking about? Gabor Mate is the GOAT. That is a man who survived the Holocaust, okay, as a baby. Fantastic individual. Oof. Just hopped on as the Mike Isoto Calabrio. Yes, it's later in the day, in a couple hours. Is your TikTok gone? What do you mean? Is it? No. Still here. You should follow it, by the way. Is it identity politics that we finally have a Turkish person in the government? Yes. Anyway, while you're getting your work on in a couple hours, I'm about to pump iron now. Good shit. I could have Gabor Mate on at a certain point. Speaking of working out, my man's in core and legs so sore. It's your jack sexy ass fault for making me want to lift again. Good. You need to get shredded. You need to get brolic. All right. Let's get to Ukraine striking Russia with long-range U.S. missiles and what might potentially happen.
1,000 days of war, and Ukraine's parliament is still standing, still populated by elected Ukrainian MPs. So, a moment to reflect on that, and on the people who died to make sure it's still the case. Then, it was back to business. In the early hours, American ATACMS in operation. This video set to show the launch. Ukraine fired the long-range ballistic missiles into Russia after permission was finally granted by President Biden yesterday. Russia's defense ministry said the strike targeted the Bryansk region bordering Ukraine to the north. It said 5 missiles were shot down and 1 damaged, with its fragments causing a fire at a military facility. Looking at this explosion, though, it must have been a very big fragment. The Russian foreign minister at the G20 meeting in Brazil described it as an escalatory gear shift.
If long-range missiles are going to be applied from Ukraine into Russian territory, it will also mean that they are operated by American experts, military experts. And we will be taking this as a qualitatively new phase of the Western war against Russia, and we'll react accordingly.
So what does that mean? The reason it took Joe Biden so long to give permission to use the system in this way was fear that Vladimir Putin would retaliate with a tactical nuclear weapon, for example. That saber rattling would become button pressing. Biden is bowing out, having concluded that after 2 years of rhetoric, Moscow is, for now, bluffing. Remember, once upon a time, the US agonized over, but eventually sent, Abrams tanks, Patriot missile systems, HIMARS, F-16s, now ATACMS, and already boundaries being pushed, perhaps, around how they're used. Yesterday, it was reported that the Americans would only allow the system's use to target the Kursk region inside Russia, part of which is under Ukrainian control. This morning's strike, though, was here in Karachev, in the Bryansk area next door. In Kyiv this evening, 1,000 candles for 1,000 days. On one of those days, Yulia had to leave now occupied Mariupol.
What are the consequences of this? Realistically, nothing changed in my opinion. I mean, we'll see. Russia has routinely stated that, you know, if they lower their restrictions on how American weapons can be used, they will be considered an act of war. And he has talked about how he considers this to be a war with all NATO partners, all coalition partners. So I guess what that means is that I don't think Russia will, you know, attack the United States. But then again, I'm not making any predictions because we know how that unfolds every time I make predictions about Vladimir Putin. But I think in the interim period, the biggest targets would probably be Ukraine and then European partners. If Russia get drawn to attack NATO, won't they shatter their own army? They could barely invade Ukraine. So charitable chinchilla. There's a concept called mutually assured destruction. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but Russia, when it was the USSR, greatly engaged in a nuclear arms race. And they did this because America had nukes. And America had shown that it not only had the capability of not only did they have these nuclear weapons, but these weapons of mass destruction, they also had the willingness to use it, right? They did that twice in Japan. So Russia looked at that and was like, oh my God, we got to build our own shit because they're going to, you know, the USSR saw what happened and was like, if these guys fucking, you know, swing the crosshairs in our direction with nuclear arms, they will destroy the USSR or anybody else that they want to destroy. So they very quickly got to work. Okay. And, you know, there was some cross-pollination of parties that were involved in the creation of nukes that may or may not have leaked details of how the USSR could maybe build their own. And then they did. They got to work and created what is known as, I guess, this mutually assured destruction principle, nuclear armed deterrence. The idea is that if any of these two countries that have nukes, if any two countries that have nukes would ever get into direct war with one another, hot war, not cold, not like by way of proxies, but direct war with one another, that the nuclear option would be entertained. And what that means is, it would never get to military conflict with boots on the ground warfare between these two nations with nuclear arms. It would just be nukes being launched in either direction, causing a nuclear holocaust. Now, in an effort to, minimize that damage, what the American government has done is basically set up what is known as a nuclear sponge. A lot of the nuclear silos are very far away from massive population centers that are densely packed with people. And the goal for any nuclear nation would be to eliminate the nuclear silos. Everybody knows where they're at. So they would attack the 5 states, including but not limited to Montana.
My life is turned upside down. There is no life for me. I only want victory and to return home.
What really matters now is what will the next American administration do? Will talk of rolling back military aid to Ukraine materialize? It's 62 days until Donald Trump becomes president.
Thousands of miles away at the G20 summit in Brazil, Sir Kier Starmer said Ukraine must be put in the strongest possible position to win. But many leaders with him at the summit are far less supportive of Ukraine. And when Donald Trump is president again in 2 months' time, international backing could be weaker. Our political editor, Gary Gibbon, is in Rio now. Gary.
Well, as you suggest, Donald Trump is on everyone's mind here, the implications of his presidency and the implications of what's going on in Ukraine, but not really part of the formal proceedings. And that's partly because of the nature of this organization, the people around the table. Brazil, the host, didn't want to be talking about Ukraine here and made sure they weren't. They don't really want to choose between East and West. You've got people like Sergei Lavrov here, you just heard in Porok's report, and you've also got people like President Erdogan. In his close of summit press conference, he said that NATO, of which he is
Mr. Play both sides and always come on top, baby. Erdogan, Reis Erdogan, recently finished the development of Bayraktar 3 missiles, or not missiles, drones, which now have the capability, first ever in the world, as far as I understand, of launching from a aircraft carrier in the short distance of an aircraft carrier. Bayraktar 3, baby. Now, who would use such a thing? The Bayraktars. I think we all know the answer to that. Ukraine has been using them.
Is a member, really should sit and take notice of what President Putin is warning about nuclear retaliation for use of long-range missiles. He sounded pretty pro-Trumpy. The G20 is spawned of the very pro-Western G7, but it didn't feel like that at all here this week. And there's one particular vignette you come away with, watching the movements of President Xi this week. He's been having, not always a very sociable man, meetings with just about everybody in the room, leaders, representatives of the countries. It's almost as if they're here from the Vatican as the only person he hasn't actually sat down and talked to. And he's trying to make contacts, get influence, get his message across for that post-Trump world, which this summit ushers in.
G20 family photo. Take 2. Yesterday's snap was 3 leaders short, including President Biden. Today, leaders were reconvened. Diplomats have complained about the efficiency of the G20 hosts. President Lula looked taken aback when officials told him this one was a few leaders short too, including Kier Starmer. They bunched up on the front row to hide the gap. President Lula wanted poverty and climate change centre stage at Brazil's G20, not Ukraine. President Zelensky was told he couldn't address the gathering of world leaders in...
Someone said Kier Starmer scolded Xi about human rights. Lamau, it did not go well. There's nothing funnier than, like, every Western government currently engaging in and directly funding and offering political cover for Israel doing a genocide, and then turning around and telling other countries that are not doing that they're violating human rights. Like, you have no leg to stand on the international stage. I mean, I'm sorry. Like what a fucking joke that is, dude. Like, does the Chinese government violate human rights laws? Of course they do. Okay? They do. Of course. Virtually every nation state does. Is it appropriate? No, it's not. But it is fucking ridiculous to try and state that and to, engage in this tut-tut finger wagging while you are permanently in the tank for Israel's genocide. That's ridiculous. No one looks at this and goes, well, that's a valid point. Unless they're primed, unless they are the most invested, the most like Western chauvinist, brainwashed fucking weirdos on the planet. Here's the Kier telling Xi video.
Very pleased that my Foreign Secretary and Foreign Minister Wang met recently and discussed respective concerns, including human rights and parliamentary sanctions, Taiwan, South China Sea, and our shared interest in Hong Kong. We are concerned by reports of Jimmy Lai's deterioration, health in prison. You raised the Chinese embassy building in London when we spoke on the telephone, and we have since taken action by calling in that application. Now we have to follow the legal process and timeline.
What is happening?
I'm very pleased that my Foreign Secretary and Foreign Minister Wang met recently and discussed respective concerns, including human rights and parliamentary sanctions, Taiwan, South China Sea, and our shared interest in Hong Kong. We are concerned by reports of Jimmy Lai's deterioration.
Yeah, China is straight up nabbing all the fucking leadership of the pro-Hong Kong, like Hong Kong liberation protests. Not all of them, but a decent amount. And they're prosecuting them. And that is unacceptable. I don't disagree with that. I don't care that it's like CIA backed or whatever the fuck. You can't do that. Okay? That's not appropriate nor acceptable. To say that it's like CIA backed, I just don't give a shit is my point. Okay? And before people go, excuse me, what are you supposed to do? Like, this is direct intervention, direct infiltration of like, China. Like, dude, China, I always go to the dichotomy between China and Russia. Look at the way China operates. Look at the way Russia operates. One is clearly better than the other. Okay? Nice OTAN propaganda. Shut up. This is not OTAN propaganda. You're an ultra. Wait, what? I don't think people understand where I'm coming from. No. They're not arresting Palestine activists. What are you talking about? No, they're arresting the Free Hong Kong activists. My argument is China's best policy in this situation is basically to continue doing whatever the fuck it's doing, which is kicking back.
Rio, but Washington's decision to authorize the use of long-range attack and missiles on targets within Russia upstaged the Brazilians' agenda. Western diplomats say they hope President Xi might intervene with Russia to get President Putin to tone down the talk of nuclear weapons use. But diplomats say Xi's many separate meetings with leaders here have been focused on making connections with other countries. Now the world knows that the next occupant of the White House will be Donald Trump. Just before the G20 ended, I spoke to Kier Starmer, and I started by asking him about the future for Ukraine now that Donald Trump had been re-elected. There is a very strong sense at the moment, more than a strong sense, a reality that the US appetite for funding Ukraine's war has pretty much gone. It's over. It's dried up. The EU's appetite for stepping in and utterly filling that void, well, that doesn't exist. Isn't the truth we're entering a new phase, and maybe people should start being realistic about that?
I don't think that's quite right. If you look at the money that's going in, the capability and the training that is being ramped up. But I'm absolutely clear that here at the G20, I am saying that we should double down on our support for Ukraine and make sure that Ukraine has what it needs for as long as it needs, because this is day 1,000, as you say.
Donald Trump says he's not.
1,000 days of Russian aggression.
Donald Trump says he's not going to do that.
Sacrifice by Ukraine.
You don't think Donald Trump's bluffing, do you?
Well, my position is very, very clear. This isn't just about sovereignty in Ukraine. It's about all of us. There's a huge impact on the United Kingdom. This is day 1,000 of aggression.
Yes, but we can't do any of that without money. And if Europe's not going to pay and America's not going to pay, we're in a new dispensation,
there is
aren't
a
we?
huge cost if Russia wins through aggression in this war.
But we
a
might be
huge
there.
cost that we will all be paying, and that's why I've said that we cannot allow Putin to win this war, which is why I am doubling down with colleagues here at the G20 and saying we do what's necessary.
President Zelensky wasn't even allowed to come here. Hosts didn't allow him a ticket.
I think had 6 meetings with President Zelensky
You're
in
here.
the 4 months that I've been in office. So we're frequently talking to President Zelensky, as are other world leaders, many of whom are here.
Yeah, let me ask you something else, because you're very clear you don't want to talk about operational matters to do with the use of long-range missiles and whether they are now authorised. I want to ask you a slightly different question. Are you confident you know what, because Russia has been talking about how conventional weapons could be responded to with nuclear weapons, are you sure you know what their threshold is, what the trigger point is for that kind of reaction?
Well, I will just say again, I'm not going to comment on operational matters. And the reason for that, as anybody who knows about conflict will readily understand, Putin is the winner.
This is the liberal version of Trump being like, I have plans to deal with ISIS, but I won't tell you. That's it.
If we do so, and it undermines the Ukrainian. But I do think that it's important that we see the facts as they are. This is day 1,000. Russia is the aggressor,
absolutely,
in breach of the UN
I ask you a specific question, though, about,
and therefore we must stand firm.
You'll appreciate people will be very worried about this, the nuclear word from Russia. Do you know what the threshold is?
Well, we must deal with the facts as they are and ensure that we are clear about who is the aggressor here. And the single simplest way to end this conflict is for Russia to walk away from its aggression. And we need to be really clear.
With Donald Trump in the White House, that's not really very likely.
There's no equivalence here between Russia and Ukraine. Russia has invaded sovereign territory.
I think the British forget that they don't have the same level of geopolitical proximity to Russia as Americans do. You're the UK, brother. I know it's the furthest most point, right, on the map, but you're still in striking distance. Okay, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why these fucking the pedophile island politicians think that they are just like America, sheltered from any sort of serious Russian intervention. Like this was during the rise of NATO in the Cold War. This was a real consideration by Western European leadership, where they were like, what the fuck? What do you mean? We're not going to fucking play ball. We don't want to be a target for Russia. You are taking away our autonomy, and you are putting us in the crosshairs of the USSR. Do I think the US is sheltered from Russian intervention? Yes. More sheltered than Europe, certainly. Europe is right there, dog. What do you mean? America also has better defenses, too.
In Europe, and now we're on day 1,000 of that conflict. It is impacting not just Ukraine, but the rest of the world, including the United Kingdom. And if we allow Putin to win this war, we will all pay a very high price.
Can I ask you more broadly about the budget?
People are so funny talking about Alaska. Please stop, chatters. Like, what do you... Yes, dude, Russia is massive, okay? I know. They're going to invade America through Alaska.
You talked about the black hole that you had to fix. And people look at the numbers, your spending numbers, and they're slightly baffled. Because you have sorted out spending in the terms you described wanting to sort it out. But for the next 2 years, spending goes up by just over 3% for the next 2 years. And then we're way back crashing down to 1.3%. And it's left a lot of people baffled about what's going on here. In fact, someone who you've invoked a lot over the years, IFS boss Paul Johnson, the guru of these matters, actually called...
Never forget what I told you in the immediate aftermath of the Labour victory. One day you will look back at all of the things I said. I was in Croatia at the time. And in my coverage, I warned the UK that Kier Starmer, the kid starver, and his neoliberal, technocratic, austerity-focused approach to politics is going to literally cause a massive fascist reaction in the Reform Party, and they will dominate British politics. Yes, Kier Starmer is the midwife of fascism. I called it then, and my naysayers were like, I don't know about that. Every day that he behaves like this is another day where fascism is growing in momentum. Just saying.
That budget a sticking plaster. That hurts, doesn't it?
Well, what we did in the budget was fix the fundamentals. We filled a black hole, so there's a gap in our economy that the last government left, £22 billion. I could have done what the last government did, which was to pretend it wasn't there, carry on with the fiction. I wasn't prepared to do that, so we've dealt with that. But we've also put record investment, and where have we put it? Into our NHS, into our schools, where every child can go as far as their talent will take them,
That's the
and into housing. No, these are long-term. These are long-term. The investments
I could show you the graph. You've seen the graph.
Well, you'll understand that the investment
spending goes right up, then it comes right down.
The investment is capital investment, huge amount of investment. There've been, a number of comments about the budget, but not many people are saying you haven't invested heavily in the future of the country.
He acknowledges that, and lots of other people do as well. It's this baffling spending movement, and it makes people think that it's almost inevitable, even though she denied it the other day, that Rachel Reeves will be back for more. This isn't it on major tax takes, is it?
I think if you were to do a poll of those watching this and say, do they think the investment should go into our NHS, into our schools, and into our houses, they would agree with that.
But I'm asking, is that it? Are you coming back for more?
No, look, we've set out in the budget the terms of the budget. I'm not going to now write budgets for the future, but that was intended to be the budget that fixed the foundations. That was the purpose of it.
And just finally, you've been very clear on assisted dying. You do not want to influence that vote.
Yes.
We'll know the way you vote on the day you vote. I want to ask, some people think you are influencing it by not promising government time. And you heard in Prime Minister's Questions last week, one MP, but I think he speaks for many others, who'd feel more encouraged to vote for this if they thought there was proper time to debate it. And you could do that. You could give government-protected time to do it. And because you haven't done that, they're suspicious that deep down you've got fingers crossed behind your back and this cause that you've always supported, you actually don't want to triumph Friday.
I do think there's sufficient time, and I think there's a very healthy debate going on about assisted suicide and assisted dying. That's going on every day, and many politicians and many others are in that debate. I know that feelings are very strongly held on both sides, and this is not party political. That's why it's important for the government to be neutral, and it's important that MPs don't feel pressurised in relation to their vote, that it is a genuinely free vote.
No fingers crossed behind your back.
No, it's a genuinely free vote.
Prime Minister, thank you.
Thank you.
Vladimir Putin has a new warning for the United States after President Biden authorized Ukraine to use long-range missiles supplied by the U.S. to strike inside Russia. Chief Foreign Correspondent Ian Pennell starts us off from Ukraine. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, George. Nuclear saber rattling from the Kremlin this morning, with Vladimir Putin appearing to threaten to use nuclear weapons if Ukraine fires American-made missiles into Russia. The Kremlin saying the doctrine was updated in response to what it calls the new situation. The new Russian policy essentially authorizes the use of nuclear weapons in response to what it calls, quotes, critical threats of aggression using conventional weapons. Now, remember, President Biden lifting restrictions on the ATACMS ballistic missiles, which are, of course, conventional weapons, essentially allowing them to be fired into Russia. Putin has made nuclear threats before that have proved to be hollow. A senior Ukrainian military source telling me this is blackmail, but also warning nuclear weapons are a Pandora's box that shouldn't be opened. This move likely aimed as much at President-elect Trump, who's promising to end the war when he takes office, but it'll make that all the harder. Meanwhile, Russia again escalating attacks inside Ukraine, striking an apartment block in the north, killing 9, including a...
I'm telling you right now, the scariest moment in this conflict was when I saw with my own 2 eyes Defense Department spokespeople, okay, the Defense Department spokespersons going on CNN, okay, and straight up saying if Russia actually used a tactical nuke, a mini nuke in Ukraine, it wouldn't be that consequential. That is not a moment that I have let go of. It lives in my mind permanently. That was really terrifying because to me, that meant like, oh yeah, they're not going to defend Ukraine and they're not going to, they're not going to engage in like mutually assured destruction to defend Ukraine or even the threat of it, and that they're gearing the American public to be comfortable with parts of Ukraine being nuked. That was a wild week. So just something to remember if you want to understand where or what the American interests are really. Oh my God.
Child. And for all the talk of peace plans, Ukraine today marking 1,000 days of Russia's devastating war with no end in sight. And just one final bit of breaking news. We're hearing that the Russians are reporting that Ukraine has now used these attack and ballistic missiles. More on that later.
Yeah, it looks like an escalation is coming. Okay, Ian, thanks very much.
Got new details about the allegations against former Congressman Matt Gaetz, President-elect Donald Trump's pick.
We're back to pedo Gates. New education. Trump transition co-chair Linda McMahon is expected to be named education secretary. Four sources familiar with the matter tell me. Kate Collins. Decision was formed after her co-chair Howard Lutnick was giving Commerce a role McMahon wanted. Who said it wouldn't be a big deal to use a tactical? I'm trying to find it. I mean, I don't know. Go back and scour through my commentary, and you will find it.
To be the next U.S. Attorney General. CBS News has learned that two women told the House Ethics Committee they were paid to have sex with Gaetz and to travel with him on multiple occasions. One also says that she saw Gaetz having sex with a minor. Gaetz denies any wrongdoing, and it was our Major Garrett who spoke with the women's attorney.
In this gated community in Orlando in July 2017, former Congressman turned Attorney General pick Matt Gaetz attended a party where his conduct has raised questions, legal and ethical, for years.
The House wanted to know if he was taking precautions, so there were no cell phones allowed.
Joel Leopard represents a woman who says she attended knowing she would be paid to have sex with guests.
She arrived at the party. She had sex with Representative Gaetz within minutes of her arrival. Later on, when she was walking out to the pool area, she observed to her right Representative Gaetz having sex with her friend who was 17 at the time.
And on this question, she's...
Yeah. Look for my commentary around March 21st, 2022.
Absolutely sure.
She's absolutely certain that she observed seeing her friend and Representative Gaetz having sex against what she described as a game table of some sort.
Leopard said she and another woman he represents alleged they attended between 10 and 15 parties and were compensated for travel with Gaetz to the Bahamas and New York. He says the committee has Gaetz's Venmo and PayPal transactions that allegedly show payments for sex and text messages where
he literally used Nestor's PayPal. Straight up.
Refers to illegal drugs in code words.
Representative Gaetz would use...
You want John Kirby?
Mounting fears of Putin's next move.
You have modern nuclear power, and the leader of that modern nuclear power.
John Kirby's statements on this shit is why I'm fucking terrified. John Kirby has been going on every fucking news broadcast and talking about the possibility of maybe a baby nuke being used. I can't help but feel like they know something that we don't, as always, where they're basically stating, you know, maybe a nuke might go off, maybe a tactical nuke might go off, but like, you know, it's just a little baby nuke, which is fucking insane. Are they gearing us up for a potential Russian nuke being launched, like a tactical nuke or something, so that they could be like, yeah, we knew about it ahead of time, we told you, but it's still a fucking nuke. It's still a nuke. Thousands will die. And they even have said that, like, they would potentially blow up the fleet, like the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. They will attack it if a nuke does go off. But beyond that, they don't necessarily have any kind of, like, additional defense measures in place. Obviously, you can't speak on it so openly, but that's part of the reason why I'm worried about the parts that they are speaking out on. Wouldn't both sides launch all their nukes immediately if Russia just sent this one? No. With what John Kirby and the like are saying, makes it unironically seem like if Russia were to launch a tactical nuke into Ukrainian territory, that they would not retaliate by launching they wouldn't activate mutually assured self-destruction. That Ukraine is not in NATO and therefore not considered a large enough risk for mutually assured destruction to kick in. That's what I'm fucking terrified by. And damn, dog. October 12th, 2022. Not the same jacket, it's a different jacket that I'm wearing, but goddamn.
Terms like, can you make sure that there are party favors present, or who's in charge of the party favors?
Gaetz has denied all wrongdoing.
I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old.
Under Trump Attorney General Bill Barr, the Department of Justice launched an investigation into Gaetz in 2019, but last year the Biden Justice Department informed him it would not be bringing charges.
Congressman from Florida is a great guy.
Trump is sticking by Gaetz. Some Republican senators have called on the Ethics Committee to release a report on its investigation, while Democrats have said they might seek testimony from witnesses.
I gather they're frightened about having their identities revealed.
Absolutely. They've been through heck, let me tell you.
Do they have anything against Matt Gaetz?
My clients are not vindictive. They're not doing this because they think Matt Gaetz is a bad person or that they have anything against him per se. They're doing it because they were legally obligated to speak the truth, and that's what they've done.
He says they want the Ethics Committee to release its findings.
And the American people would know, and they could decide if that's the person they want to be the next Attorney General of the United States.
Spokesman for the Trump transition team called this testimony that Leopard summarized for us, quote, baseless allegations intended to derail the second Trump administration, end quote. Meanwhile, one source from...
You are the problem? With what? Matt Gaetz fucks a 17-year-old, like does statutory rape, and I'm the issue? I didn't fucking tell you. I didn't tell Matt Gaetz to do that. I didn't bring him to the fucking high school party. For the first time, more than half of the Ukrainians want the war to end as soon as possible. Half of Ukrainians now want an ending to war as soon as possible. 38% say Ukraine should continue fighting until it wins the war. And 52% say Ukraine should seek to negotiate an ending to the war as soon as possible. Is this guy going to respond? Probably not.
With Gaetz's legal position, questioned the credibility of these women and argued their recollections would not have withstood cross-examination in court if it had ever come to that. Tony?
But, Major, what really matters right now is what's in that House Ethics Committee report. The Ethics Committee is set to meet tomorrow. What do we know at this time about any outreach from Gaetz or Donald Trump, for that matter, to senators on Capitol Hill?
Gaetz is calling. The president-elect is calling. And as we've gathered it, the arc of the conversation goes something like this. Senators say, are you serious? Is this a joke? In which Gaetz says, no, I'm really the nominee to be. And President-elect Trump says, no, I'm not kidding about this. I really want you to confirm Matt Gaetz. So getting over this astonishment has been the first component of these conversations. President-elect Trump has confided that he knows this is going to be a very uphill battle to get Gaetz confirmed, if that's even possible. But I think it's worth taking note of what the Trump transition said. If Gaetz isn't confirmed, it's an attempt to derail the entire second administration of President-elect Trump, meaning the Department of Justice is the administration. Trump has a phrase, Tony, killer. A lot of people use disruptor. Trump occasionally uses the term killer. He believes Gaetz will be a killer on his behalf, and he wants him as Attorney General. The question for Senate Republicans, do they as well?
Wow. Major, thank you very much.
To the president-elect, who is pushing forward with his plans for mass deportations. Our chief White House correspondent.
There's nothing standing in the way, dude. Trump has different mechanisms to push it through regardless. But I think the method is to force them to heal. And Dennis Hastert, people knew Dennis Hastert was a pedophile. And some theories on it are that the serial pedophilia of Dennis Hastert made him more controllable. And that's why he was the longest running Speaker of the House. However, Matt Gaetz's allegations are public. There has already been a Department of Justice investigation that was conducted onto the matter. Like, it's not like this came out of fucking nowhere. With Dennis Hastert, at least people didn't know. The public didn't know. So it's definitely one step further. Trump did a podcast like 2 years ago about Gaetz, and they went over all the nasty little things about him in the county treasurer in Florida were doing. Like making fake IDs for minors to come across state lines. Oh, yeah. Like, his collaborator is in prison, by the way. Like, the person that he did all of this sex trafficking of minors with is literally in prison. But then the, DOJ gave up on Matt Gaetz, which is crazy. His bestie, on the other hand, obviously was not as high up within the party, so they fucking clapped his ass.
Mary Bruce is at Mar-a-Lago with the latest. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Michael. Well, during the campaign, Donald Trump promised to overhaul the immigration system. And now here at Mar-a-Lago, he is preparing what he pledges will be the largest mass deportations in U.S. history, planning to use the military to deport undocumented immigrants. This morning, President-elect Donald Trump is preparing to follow through on his promise of mass deportations. Sources tell ABC News the Trump team is already considering expanding immigration detention centers and restarting family detentions.
They're put in detention, they're put in an ice bed while we make arrangements to the home country. So we detain them, put them on the next airplane out, and send them out.
The president-elect saying he has plans to declare.
I think one of the aspects that I find to be additionally despicable about Tom Homan is that he's so fucking gross. Like, he can't even talk normal. He just always is like he just hits the He hits the hog tendency way too hard. He's like an actual ogre. Regularly talking about the cruel shit that he's going to do when he's back in a position of power. And he's just so shameless about it. Like, he's so callous. I fucking hate it. I mean, that's the aesthetic part of it. He's disgusting. More pro-Palestinian protests at UCLA. Pro-Palestine protesters are currently standing out with the police in Bruin Plaza. Nice. Guys, you ask for Trump, you get Trump. It's like, hey, just so you guys know, this is, happening under the Democratic leadership in a Democratic state in a overwhelmingly Democratic district. Weird how the liberals forget that convenient fact. Once again, liberals like it when Trump does the shit. Okay? Liberals like all of the violent things that Donald Trump does, or at best, they are indifferent to said violence. They don't care about it. For them, it's just like, oops, I guess it happened. Or it's something that they personally enjoy. And when Trump does it, liberals get to sit there and still maintain their moral, their moral high ground, at least in their own minds. They get to say, "Oh, I just hate what Trump is doing," but you asked for it, and it's like, well, you're doing it too. You're doing it right now. Well, with Trump, they get to have their cake and eat it too. Yeah, they get to maintain this moral grandstanding attitude, even though we remember this. When SJP organizer attempts to speak up for UCPD personnel, cops in riot gear remain lined up on Bruin Walk. I'm disgusted with what this country is becoming. I mean, I was already angry at what this country had done in the past and what this country continued to do, but it's getting worse and worse every day. Genuinely terrifying shit.
Declare a national emergency and use the military to help deport undocumented immigrants. Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, says he's heading down to Mar-a-Lago this week to put the, quote, final touches on a plan that he has said will amount to shock and awe. But Homan acknowledges there are many unanswered questions about Trump's plan, including how much it will cost.
We got to have the resources to do the job. So I've been asked 1,000 times, how many people can you remove the first year? Well, how many agents do I have? How many buses do I have? How much money do I have for airplanes, right? Can DOD assist? Because DOD can take all off our plate. So there's a lot of what ifs.
According to some experts, mass deportation could cost an estimated $88 billion a year and send inflation spiking as millions of workers are removed from the workforce. Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs, the latest Democratic governor to say her state will not use resources to aid Trump's efforts, calling them misguided.
It harms communities. It tears families apart. And that's not going to happen on my watch.
The ACE now suing the federal government, seeking details on Trump's plan for mass deportations, looking for information about how authorities might quickly remove people from the country. Trump officials say deportations would be just one element of a vastly different approach to immigration, with plans to stop issuing citizenship documents to children born in the U.S. to undocumented parents.
That's also crazy. That's just like, again, it's sad to even say this word knowing that it has no more weight, but it is unconstitutional. But it doesn't matter.
Unproven effort to all but end birthright citizenship, something Trump has long promised. Of course, birthright citizenship is protected by the Constitution. All of this coming as Trump continues to fill out his team, naming former Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy to be transportation secretary, tapping another Fox News host to join his team. Now today, Trump is expected to take a bit of a break from all of this, traveling to Texas with his increasingly close confidant Elon Musk to watch his SpaceX launch. Michael?
All right, Mary, thank you. There's a lot of questions on how that's going to be carried out, but thank you for your time.
Dude, urging the Democrats to fight like Republicans and exploit loopholes is literally a one-to-one Hasanabi strategy. Like, that is something that I've advocated for the past 10 fucking years, dude.
Damn, this guy's good.